What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode in our coverage of Anno 2205. My name is Splattercat, very happy to have you here today as we hang out for a little bit. Ubisoft sent the game over last week, and I spent some time with it. I wasn't totally sure if I was going to do a series, but after spending a couple hours with the game, I actually had a really good time to the point where I stayed up extra late the last couple nights playing it. And so I figured I'd put together a short series on the game so that you can get a feel for the way that it plays. I was a fan of the previous game, although I wouldn't say that I was a fan in the way that I was like competitive online or anything like that, but I did play it quite a bit when it came out. I was never any good at it, but I still enjoyed my time. And so whereas I'm not really good at city builders or things like that, because that's what this game is, if my experience with city skylines or anything like that can be a cue to all of you, it will be a disaster, but at the same time, it'll probably be a fun disaster, and that's about all the best that I can look for whenever I put together a series. So without further ado, we gotta make ourselves a corporation, because obviously throwing yourself into the throes of corporate life is the only way to establish a big chunk of the planet for yourself. This takes place in the future, where mega corporations like run everything. A little bit dystopian, but at the same time, kind of cool. We are in control of a company. We're like the CFO, and we've got a plan on how we're going to colonize the moon or something like that. We're going to be playing the campaign in this playthrough, so let's get it started.
I'm glad you accepted my invitation. Samantha Beaumont, Global Union Supervisor of the Lunar Licensing Program. We have a lot to discuss, but first, I'd like to introduce you to your Artificial Data Amalgamating Messenger.
Thank you for participating in the Lunar Licensing Program. The program stipulates that your corporation set up operative spaceports to act as bases for a new wave of lunar colonization. You will further assist Global Union in the development of a fusion energy reactor to avert Earth's impending energy crisis.
Officially, only megacorporations are allowed in the program, but I personally took a stand for you. You just have to sign in with your corporation name.
Our corporation needs to sound threatening. It needs to sound like a company that you can't tell what they do, and they're like so diversified that they basically do everything, and you can never stop them because they just buy all the officials. So I'm thinking like Merovingian Global. That definitely sounds like the company that comes to your town and like builds a nuclear waste dump right next to your kindergarten.
Thanks, but I need to see your corporate logo as well, for identification purposes.
Okay, so we got a number of logos here. I'm probably going to stay away from anything that looks too battle-friendly, just because stockholders, they don't like to think of war when they're like vetting a project and throwing money at it. Instead, they like things like kitties and carrots and baby ducky chick things and also pandas. Who doesn't want to pay for all of those? And so I'm going to go for something as cute as possible so that hopefully when we put up the global Kickstarter, they'll be like, yeah, this corporation sounds awesome. Technically, it looks like a chick with a little lightning bolt running through him. He's coming out of his egg and there's like lightning, like bzzz, like he's a lightning chicken. It's going to be badass. Let's do this thing.
My superiors at the Global Union had reservations about you, but I've convinced them. They even decided to allocate you high-grade territory for new corporate headquarters. Choose a sector.
As long as they don't have reservations for me, I think that I'm okay. So the choice here is not like a super tough one. You can basically pick whatever you want and it'll work out okay. But what you want to be aware of is building space versus mountain sites versus coastal sites versus the mega project that's in the area. So this area has a mega project for electricity. I have a lot of electricity problems when I play this game all the time, and so I figure that'll probably be a good choice. This one has a project for rare materials like aluminum and things like that. Probably iridium and some other elements in there, or some other like metals or whatever that you can use to build bigger projects. And this one right here has a project for ornamentals. Ornamentals are basically like touristy trap type things or like parks, things that beautify your city. On top of that, you also want to consider the coastal sites give you desalination plants, they give you electrical plants, and then they also give you, I think, fishing ports or something like that if you need food. The mountain sites are where you get your raw materials like, you know, aluminum, iron, and things like that for building robots, electronics, and other little things. And so it really sort of depends just what you want to do with your city. This one feels pretty well-rounded, and because I always have energy problems, I'll probably go with this one just because it's got a dam in the area that I think you can reappropriate later for your own corporate use. And so let's go with Walbrook Basin. I played Viridian Coves all... Well, you're being very rude right now. I don't know if your parents ever told you, but interrupting people while they're entertaining important corporate guests and also stockholders is not... I know you have a nice hauberk and like an infinity scarf and like an insignia, but you can't do that stuff. I'm the boss man now. Anyways, I already did Viridian Coves. It was cool. I like the map, but I want to do something different this time around, so we'll do Walbrook.
Almost there. We just have to negotiate the terms of your contract with Global Union, funding conditions, and the like.
Okay. And so all it's asking you for is a difficulty level right here. I think this is easy, this is medium, and this is hard. I played for a long time on standard, and there was nothing challenging like the entire time. Like the entire game was just me slapping down stuff on the ground that I wanted to build, and the game was like, yay for you, and it gave me balloons and blue bubbles. It gave me like all the warships and stuff that I ever wanted. Still, I'll probably play on advanced this time around because this one, I felt like I could basically do whatever I want and nothing would ever go wrong. You can also, if you really want to, you can tailor the starting setup right here, where it'll change like the way different things work inside of the game if you wanted to make it a custom game. Still, since we're playing, I guess since we're still playing just like, I know, errors happen. We'll go back to Walbrook, we'll go over to here. Since we're playing online, I'll probably just go with the standard difficulty that was intended by the developers. So we'll go with advanced.
You are now entering Phase 1 of the Lunar Licensing Program. The Global Union assigned you territory in Earth's temperate region to establish a spaceport and a base of operations. The construction of a space elevator to Global Union headquarters is also required. For further instructions, speak to your official contact person. Global Union wishes you success.
Wide meadows and towering mountains. And soon you will add an impressive skyline to the picture. But stay attentive. I was informed a Big Five company has been monitoring the ruined dam for quite some time now. This could turn out beneficial for you at some point, but your prime objective is to raise a spaceport here. The spaceport building site off the coast is still unstaffed, but as soon as you've built the necessary housing, your construction team will be moving in.
Alright, and so what I very much like about this game is they actually like tell you what you're supposed to be doing. Like in the beginning, it actually gives you a pretty clear designation of just random objectives that you should be working on, while at the same time giving you the freedom to fiddle around with stuff if you really, really want to. I'm not going to have her talk to me right now because I got things to do. So anyways, the first thing we need to do is we need 50 workers. We need to build residences for those workers so that they have a place to live, so they're not running around in caves and things like that. Yes, me lord! You know, not being able to get their job done because we're not giving them rice cakes or whatever it is that we feed them. We need a sunflower farm because apparently bioplastics have gone out of style this far into the future. Now they use biopolymers or something like that. And apparently those grow on sunflowers. That's what I've learned from this experience. Now be aware, this is not going to be a super efficient playthrough. I'm not like a master of this game. I don't even really know what I'm doing aside from I've played like the first 4 or 5 hours of the game. So, like, I have a basic grasp of, like, the mechanics and things like that, but there are going to be inefficiencies in my base and things of that nature, just because I play games for fun, guys. I play games for fun. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to do everything perfectly all the way through, I would highly recommend you just kind of, like, run down another playthrough. I'm trying to keep you happy right now just by being honest, but you got to do what you got to do. Let's go ahead and build ourselves a road. I actually do like the road construction system in this game. I've enjoyed it quite a bit since I started playing. The road construction system, it'll actually, if you go down and then you like make a turn and then you make another turn, it'll follow the cursor pretty well. And it does a pretty good job of guessing where you want it to go most of the time, especially if you already have buildings placed. So the first thing we need are residences. Each one of these is going to cost us biopolymers down there, and it houses 5 employees. So at the end of the day, in order to get ourselves 50 employees, we have to have 10 of these. So let's go all in right here. Oop, nope, I want it lined up. I'm the kind of person where I like things lined up. So we'll get it in the corner right here. Let's zoom in so you can see as well. That's one of the fun things about games like this is you get to zoom in and take a look at your handiwork.
Nice apartments. Makes me look forward to quitting time.
That's actually, yeah, that's a super sweet house. That house is mega dope. It looks like it has an energy shield on the top of it just in case somebody shoots at it. It comes with a hover car and a bunch of hover bikes. Man, I need to sign up to be in one of these corporations, and also I need to find a time machine so I can jump forward by like 200 years. I mean, it'd be a little bit depressing because everybody you know is dead, but hover cars, huh? You got to take the trades that you get. You got to take the trades where you can get them. So the next thing we need is we need to start producing more biopolymers so that we can build more houses. Until we have workers up here at the top, they increase your credit balance, and so you kind of want to keep that in the black. You want that to be positive so that you're constantly ticking up new revenues so that you can keep building things. I tend to want to get it up to like, I don't know, 1,500, like 1,000 a minute or whatever. I don't know if this is by the minute or if it's got to be by the minute. And so anyways, if you can get that up a little bit higher, you can make it so that you never have to worry about money problems at all. So the next things we probably want to worry about, we can make rice farms. And the reason you want to do this stuff is if you click on each of these buildings, they've got needs. And so there's organic food, there's fresh water, and there's information. And so they want to be hooked up to the internet or whatever else kind of like global network that they have right now in this world. That guy has a stroller right there. Huh, is that a kid? What is that? Hold on. I can't zoom in any further. I kind of wish that like I could get way down in here and take a look at stuff, but they've also got fresh grass and nice lawns, so apparently they don't have water problems like we have in California. Everybody's lawns are dead now. Everybody's letting them die because the penalty for going over your water allotment's gotten pretty heavy. So what I want to do for right now is I wanted to put in enough rice farms to where I don't have to worry about things. If you want to rotate your buildings, you just click with your center mouse button. That'll move it around. It took me a little bit to find it when I first started playing. I thought maybe it was R. I thought maybe... Oop, I hit the wrong hotkey. I thought maybe it was R, or maybe it was something like, you know, R, the favorite hotkey of pirates. Or I thought maybe it was going to be something like tab. Nope, it's actually the middle mouse button, so there it is right.
Organic food is perceived as needless luxury by many megacorps. Good to see you share the Union's perspective.
I don't know exactly how many of these I need. This one is at 100% capacity, so there are things you want to be careful about when you build one of these. When you look at this little menu, so it requires 1 logistics in order to move things around. It requires 5 electricity to run it. It requires 15 workers. And so we only have 20 workers. And so obviously once we get this done, we're going to have to expand a little bit because our factory system, we don't have the raw labor required in order to get a lot of this stuff done. Still, there's nothing wrong with laying down a blueprint at the beginning of the game. And so I'll probably drag this out this way. I don't know exactly how far out I want to take it. It's a little bit of a waste of space, but we're going to try and use this for electricity as well once we can use these little wind parks. And so for right now, I'll probably put in, let's go with a couple of sunflower farms first. And so I'll probably put this guy in. Oh, they're actually different sizes. So maybe in order to conserve space, I'll go like this. This game is actually all about efficiencies. I've watched people who are way better than me play this game, and it's amazing, like the random little blueprints and kind of logistics and the way that they look at the game in spatial relations, just getting everything to fit like perfectly. Like they got these little like mental images where they'll be like, all right, so we need 4 houses, and then if you do 4 houses, you can stilt one on this side, and then you can rotate this in. It's actually pretty incredible to watch if you're into things like efficiency. So they are very, very short on workers. As you can see, the efficiency has dropped to 94%. But we're almost there to creating the biopolymers that we'll need in order to non-stop pump out new workers. So let's make a biopolymer factory.
Insufficient.
Yes, I realize my resources are insufficient. I am well aware. We can probably, actually, where do I want to put these at? I can put one right there. We could rotate to right there, and then we can have it loop around the back and maybe put in a couple houses back there or something like that. I don't know exactly how I want this to work, but if I go in right there... will that allow me to put in a house right there? I'm going to keep that as a placeholder real fast, just so I can take a look at it and see if it lines up. It does indeed.
Shortage of workforce.
Yes, I am aware. I will probably drop in 2 biopolymer factories then. All right, and so now that that's in, I'm actually probably going to cut her off most of the time because I've already played this. And so I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to try and explain it to you along the way. And so we need to put in roads for right now, like something, oh, that won't work. I did something dumb. That'll go over to there. What I really, really, really like about this game is there's actually a tool that they have now that allows you to move things around. So at the bottom left-hand corner, I don't know if this was in the previous game, but this is super sick right here. I like this as a feature. I hate it in games where I build something in the wrong space, then I gotta demolish it and rebuild it. This game, they just got a little hand tool, and you can click and drag on stuff to move it wherever you want, and it just teleports it around. Super sick feature that I'm actually really, really stoked about. So for right now, we have a lot of worker problems. Let's go ahead and handle that before our cash trickles away. We want to stay on top of this with a quickness. So we'll drop a couple more houses in right there. It didn't line up completely the way that I wanted. Still, we'll put a couple parks right there, and we might be able to make that work better. Or once we get electricity, I'll strongly consider, once we have an electrical balance that we're playing around with, I'm actually using the wrong word here. But anyways, new buildings available because we got corporate stats or we leveled up or something like that. Your corporation gets more sick as time goes along, more dope, more fresh, more shiggity schwa. It gets better. And so anyways, as everything builds up and gets better, you get new buildings and things. And it unlocks them at a very slow pace so that you don't get overwhelmed. We do need a logistics center right now. A transportation center is going to give us the ability to move things around in the way that we want to. Although finding a superb spot for it where it's not completely and totally wasted would be the next part that I would want to lean into right here. So I might centralize it. We also want to be careful about electricity because you got to space these very carefully as well. And I remember this from the previous game where you had to make like a grid of electricity to make sure that you were doing it all properly. And you don't want the lines to overlap because it lowers the efficiency of the location. Actually, if I could build it right here over the ocean, that'd be even better. Save me a little bit of space. And so if I could get this all the way back like so, I wouldn't mind that, but I don't want to waste the space either. And so it might be worth it to do... oh, I don't know. Scooching it over this way is probably the best plan, but then that leaves us with some really, really weird spaces over here that I'm not a giant fan of. So let's say that I drop that right there. The road system can just connect right there for right now. I can take these, and I can scooch these over slightly. It doesn't really help that much. I don't know. I'm going to leave this tentative for right now. I know that I want to build houses over here, so that's what I'm going to keep working on. We got to get a big population of workers real fast before anything else goes wrong because we're in the red at the moment, and so I don't want to be in the red. And not being in the red requires you to have a lot of workers, and so I'll go in like... oh, that's misaligned too. Well, damn, the inefficiencies are already ramping up. These need to be attached to a road, otherwise this will not function in the way that you want it to. That should be all nice and good right there, and what you should see is that our deficit should drop off pretty quickly, I think. It should drop, oh, I don't know, by probably a couple hundred more. We got a lot of upkeep right now that we got to take care of. I think each human being pays like $2 or $3 per second or something like that. It looks like it's changing off a little bit. That'll probably only get us, are they fully moved in right now? We're only up to 42. Okay, so we'll probably want to do more workers up and in here. This is also going to allow us to get a bigger workforce in. So actually, I think we should focus almost entirely upon more workers for right now. And so let's just do a big stack right there.
Your construction crew is one of the first ready. Keep up the pace. Your competitors will try to catch up. For the next construction stage, you'll need qualified ground staff to operate the spaceport. Make sure to adhere to union standards while providing the required infrastructure.
Okay, and so we actually have a number of aquatic spots right now that we'll be able to use, which is good, because one of the things that I didn't like about the last map that I played is that these little aquatic spots in here, absolutely, I only had like 2 of them on my last map, and it was just like, because they're just like so ridiculously useful. So, what we'll want to do here is we'll want to make desalinators. I'll probably try and keep the desalinators pretty close to where we're working from. This is going to be it right here. And so we'll put in a desalinator right there. And I'll more than likely use this one for a desalinator too. And so in it goes. We got 2 desalinators. I think that should be enough water to supply most of our baseline workers with what they need in order to be happy. I'll probably have that road come through.
You need this desalination plant. These days, it's the only way to come by drinkable water.
So what we'll need after this, we're almost in the black, which is really, really good, but we're going to give that a second. If you don't know what that means, if you're in the red, it means you're losing money. If you're in the black, it means you're gaining money. Now then.
We should standardize the process.
Oh, good, we're making money now. Fantastic. We've actually hit one of our objectives. So the next thing we're going to need, we need an info dome because that's going to be one of the final things they need in order to be happy so that you can actually level up the buildings. When you level these up, they become like 2-story or 3-story like triplexes or whatever that a bunch more people live in, and it upgrades their jobs. So you see, for example, it says workers right here now. When you upgrade the building, they'll become operators, which are, they can actually do more specialized jobs. Like you need operators in order to do, I think, some of the tier 2 building jobs and stuff like that. Cool stuff to think about. We've got our... got that over there, so I would prefer to keep these lined up in one way or another. And I don't really mind if it loses like 5% efficiency, but what you got to remember is this is also draining 5% from this side, so you're actually losing 10% total. Still, the way you want to line it up is you basically want it like that right there where they don't overlap at all. I mean, it's up to you how you want to do it, but I would plan, for right now, the way that I do it is I plan my city around my power infrastructure first, so that I'm not constantly moving buildings around and trying to make sure that I have enough electricity every single time that I play the game. I will more than likely take this road out right here. Drag and drop that over to there. We do need logistics too. I don't know exactly how much logistics we're generating right now. We've got transportation centers give us 50 logistics, and so our maintenance right now is 18, which means that we have 32 left over. That means we don't need a logistics center right this second. But it would probably be a decent purchase now before later. And so if we put it right here, all this does is it increases like the amount of trucks that we have by like 15 or something like that. Yeah, so there it is. We've actually got a much better supply. And so as I said, we didn't really need that right now. But building it now will save us a little bit of effort later. This water supply over here is not functioning at all. And so what I'd like to do, let's just give it a little paddock right there. And that looks alright. It divides our land up a little bit oddly, but I think we can make it function for right now. Oh, we're back in the red again. Okay, so let's go ahead and get ourselves some more civilians. Need more civvies. Need more civvies in their skivvies before I can actually think this situation is shibby. That's right, I grew up during that generation. That was a thing that people said, like, in high school. That movie had a bigger influence than I think most people recognize. We got new buildings, and we got some new blueprints. Shibby. I forgot about that until I brought it up and needed a rhyme, and then my brain was just like, well, maybe we'll just go with shibby. That sounds good. We need an info center. You want this to be centered. Like, you don't want this to be so... This actually has, like, a radius around it. I don't know if it's used by roads. I'm not exactly sure how it works yet. I've played around with it, though, and I built an info dome that was, like, way out here. And it seems like it's got kind of like a radius that it functions on. And so you kind of want it to be right next to the place where everybody lives, I think. And so we'll drop an info center in right here. That's going to cost us a little bit of extra money. Go like so. I don't know if I should be building this many roads either, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly. So obviously, feel free to correct me if you feel like it's going to negatively affect other people's gameplay experience. Obviously, I'm going to make mistakes along the way. Feel free to correct them down in the comments below for other people so that they don't make the same mistakes. But just be aware the game's not even out yet, so it's not like I can look at a guide or anything like that. I kind of just do the best I can with what I have. That'll be 99%, and that'll be still 99%. I'll probably stick with that then right there. Looks good to me. You're going to need a lot of electricity, by the way. I go through electricity like cray-cray. Like, for real, I am always out of electricity. And one of the ways you can severely offset that is by using one of your ocean sites for an electrical... I guess they make like a... I'm not exactly sure what it would be, a hydroelectric something rather. I don't know if it's just like a tidal turner or what it is.
Ah, I knew there was something going on here. Nick Papadakis, Papadakis Enterprises. You want a good deal? Just come to my warehouse.
Papadakis Enterprises. He seems like the kind of guy that should own a pawn shop or something. I'm not sure if I trust him. Let's go ahead and we need to upgrade some stuff. And so as you can see, all of their needs are fully taken care of. What that means is you can click on this. Okay, so you can do it two ways. You can click on the building, and then you can click on this right here, and you can do it one by one if you really want. It costs you biopolymers, though, so just be aware that, you know, you are using up a resource here when you upgrade these. The other way that you can do it is, just like everything else in the game, you can rubber band box it by clicking on this little guy down here. WASD, I think, are all of these little guys right here. Oh, no, never mind. It's M, C, D, and A. And so anyways, I don't really use the hotkeys too much. If I was playing online, I would assume that I would have to learn how to do it for your actions per second or whatever. But for right now, we're just playing for fun. I will more than likely upgrade this block.
Operators at your service.
Construction. Remarkable progress. You've assembled construction crews and ground personnel faster than I was expecting. You are more than ready for the first major hurdle. The program demands you connect your city with the Global Union space station via a space elevator. So far, only megacorps like the Big Five use such technology. But I'm sure you have the same potential.
And so as you can see, I think these guys actually pay higher taxes. I think that for each individual that lives in one of these houses, I think the residence will hold more people. I'm not totally sure on that one, though, so don't quote me. But anyways, I'm pretty sure when this upgrades, you actually make a lot more money, and more people can move in, because our population numbers are going way, way up right now. Even though I didn't really do anything. Yay, we're corporation level 3. We got lots of stuff to do right now. I think we can make the biopolymers work a little bit better. We're not really generating a lot of biopolymers at the moment. I wish that we were, but we ain't. And so I'm thinking we might be able to make that a little bit better. That wind park is working absolutely swimmingly. We've got to make some decisions, though, as to how we want to produce biopolymers. Now, they're not going to be that useful as we get further into the game. That's the thing, is you're only really creating the baseline stuff you need for level 1 guys when you create these. And so I suppose there's probably an argument to be made that you don't want to overdo it with the level 1 structures. This over here seems like a tremendous waste of space to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it wide open or something. What can I do over here? Can I put in a couple more houses? That sounds pretty sweet to me. So I'll put in a couple of houses. And then what I'll do is I'll actually take this. And you can't move roads as far as I know. I think I tried to move roads the last time I played. And we'll do something like that. I mean, we got a lot of random... Do I have to pay for road upkeep? Not sure. I might have to pay for road upkeep. Not entirely positive on that one. I'll keep an eye on it as I play the game, and I'll take a look around and see if I've got a graph or like a regression anywhere that lets me know. Still not bad for our first episode. People are looking pretty happy. I think that we've got a really, really good progression going on right now. I'm going to call it the end of the episode. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here for the first episode of Anno 2205. Very excited to play a couple episodes with all of you and see if you guys enjoy it as well. Hi-do out there, and I'll see you in the next episode, everybody.